Hey, everybody. Welcome to Friends Friday. Super excited to have you. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. Hope you're having a good day. We're really excited to continue this series in our Hack to School month. And so we're doing some episodes just more educational and things that people might be learning about in their career fields or in their fields of study. And so today we're excited to talk about product management and product launches, both in startups and throughout the product lifecycle at any size organization. So it's gonna be a fun discussion today. We've got Larry Weber, super excited to have him as our friend. And then we know Sarah. So I'll have you guys both introduce each other and then just really looking forward to the conversation today. So Larry, please introduce yourself, tell our audience a little bit about you and then we'll jump over to Sarah. So.
Sure. So, hey, everyone, Larry Weber. And I've been in leading marketing development, like technology, software stuff for a number of years. The last 10 years have been really about building teams and building marketing teams, mainly product marketing, companies like IBM, AWS. And over the last couple of years, more startup, more growth, taking from the big behemoths and what I've learned there and said, wow, okay, how do we get the plane off the ground and how do we build that? So I've been doing that for a number of years, marketing and technology in my DNA. But more recently, I've kicked off a minor consultancy called Launch Gravy and really around product launches. And that's why I'm really excited to dig in it today. And also I've been starting a podcast and having conversations like with you and others around this topic.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking time. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun conversation. Really looking forward to your knowledge and wisdom in this space. Sarah, introduce yourself because I actually don't know that our audience. I don't know you've been on a pod.
No, this is my first Friends Friday. So thank you, Dan. So my name is Sarah Foley, and I'm running our product management team here at PlexTrack. Actually just joined PlexTrack about 4 months ago. Feels a little longer, which is great, actually. But so I joined just recently and really happy to be here talking about PlexTrack and just kind of product management and product launches with you and Larry today. So thank you, Dan.
Awesome. Well, I'll let you guys start running with the conversation because I was joking, as we prep for this, like I'm not a product trained person by anything proper. I built a product and was able to get some funding for it and then get it off the ground and then able to hire some smart people to help us keep growing it. So I've learned a lot about product management over the years, but you guys are the experts. And so, I take it away and I'll add color where I can. So.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I definitely think, don't discredit yourself there. Building a product is quite amazing. So I also think a lot of people don't actually, it's changed over the years, but originally, people weren't going to school to be technically product managers. And I think you were either in a support role. I previously came from a support role and kind of moved into the product management world many years ago. So so I think you can end up here many different ways, Dan. But Larry, how did you get started in product and kind of what led you into product?
Yeah, wow. So you get me really deep on that one and date myself a little bit. Look, I would say I've always had a love for technology. And prior to going and getting an MBA and being like, yeah, this is how we launch products, this is how we do things, right? And you get told things from the university standpoint. I actually was in a company and let me back up. I had a master's in comp sci, and I came out and I realized, oh my gosh, I don't want to be a sysadmin. I don't want there's certain aspects I didn't enjoy. And I was working for a manufacturing company, and what got me into really the product side of it was, lo and behold, myself and a couple of others we made aluminum tubings and big, long, aluminum tubes. And you think about one of the things you can make with that are baseball bats. And what we did was we ended up private branding our own baseball bat line. And so that kind of love for a product kind of kicked me off. And this is physical, not software. This is for all that. But it was using the software. It was like we made aluminum tubes. It was so difficult to go, if I want to make a prototype and show it to you, do you know how long that takes? I got to go to Alcoa, get this stuff. And, so I use things like 3D Studio Max, and I leverage the technology to render, to look at things in a different way. And then, hey, would you like to buy this? Could we private brand this? And finally, lo and behold, we failed the first year. The second year we did wonderful. We had our own brand. and I got to say, nothing is like handing a baseball bat to someone, or softball bats were the ones we really started making. And like, they come back and they're like, this is the best thing I ever used. Like, I need 5 of these. I need my entire team to have these. And it's that love for a product that I was like, okay, how do I translate this into databases or some things that are not physical? And so, long-winded way of saying, it's like, look, the love for product, at least for me, comes from the physical world, but translating it into something that's a little bit more abstract, there's a challenge to that. There's art to it. And that's kind of what I love to do. I'll shut up there.
That's great. We're going off script here, obviously, but like, you probably didn't know this, but Sarah and I are pretty big baseball fans. Sarah's son played baseball and now is graduating high school, but I coached baseball. I played it. And our very first company, like what got me into entrepreneurship, was with my dad. We built a batting cage business. We were selling portable batting. Yeah. So we could divert all day long about the baseball side, but that's really cool. Like, that you kind of started from a baseball or physical stuff. So yeah.
I was definitely going to say that as well. I definitely am missing my days on the baseball field after my son went to college. But yes, definite love of baseball going on here in this group. So we'll have to have another webinar just about baseball and just talk through that. That's really awesome. So Larry, one thing you and I had talked about when we first met was really just remaining customer obsessed. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wanted to just pick your brain on, what are some of the things that you're doing to really remain customer obsessed, and then, can kind of tell you some of the stuff that we're doing here at PlexTrack with our customers.
Yeah, sure. And I'll probably pull back a little bit more when I was actually in larger organizations and such, right? Versus like now, hey, party of 1 or 2, right? It's a little bit different. I'm always customer obsessed because that's my entire life. Yeah. I would say what's super important as folks are looking into product marketing or marketing in general, like marketing has to, the lifeblood of marketing and the product is the customer. And I would say, sure, at IBM, I had a lot of interface with customers and saw the power of customer, the power of brand, power of product with customers. But it wasn't until AWS and Amazon in general that really has, as a part of one of their leadership principles, like customer obsession. And I'm probably going to overstate this, but it's like you start with the customer and work backwards. Okay. And really comes down to like, you don't have a product or you don't have any revenue unless that customer is going to be happy. You don't build something for the sake of building it. All right. Some research companies do. I'm not naming names, but you need to ensure that you start with the customer's pain points, the problems, or even maybe what they don't know as a pain point today. Mm-hmm. And then iterate. Get close to them. Understand. Is it working? You can't just listen to them and just go build stuff and then be like, here's no, you didn't listen to me. It's changed. So yeah, for everything at the core of marketing and if you're going to be successful, you need to stay close to the customer, feedback from the customer. The last thing I'll say is the one of the most powerful things you can do, focus groups, conversations, like, hey, go to an event, get some customers in, prospects even. What do you think about this? How do you think about this website? What do you think about X, Y, and Z? So yeah, the customer is the center of the universe in everything that we do.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think when I joined PlexTrack, I was really excited to learn how focused on the customer that we were across the entire company. So, of course, product is obviously customer focused, getting a lot of feedback, but our sales team is very, dedicated to our customer base and really make sure we get a lot of conversations with them. And that's really helpful to make sure that we're validating what we're building along the way. As you mentioned, sometimes customers don't always know exactly what they want, or maybe they have a thought of what they may want. But then as you kind of work through the process or start building some designs, then you can really learn a lot more. Or, I didn't actually mean it that literally, but I really wanted to do this thing. So I really think that it's important for myself and my team to really, get that customer validation throughout our whole product life cycle. So here at PlexTrack, we obviously, have a product delivery model where we start with an idea in mind, just like any kind of feature that you might be building or product. But then, as we're moving through that cycle, and really making sure we're starting to design that. It's very critical to make sure that we're continuing to talk to those customers as we're designing it, and then again, as we're developing it, and then again, after it's been developed, to make sure, did this really hit the mark? Is this solving all of your use cases? And we have something here called our early adopter group, where, we'll essentially, launch this product behind a feature flag and really make sure it's working correctly for them in their environment and, really fitting their needs. And that really helps us here gain that customer validation, make sure that we're releasing the right thing and that it's working, end to end, because as you mentioned, sometimes it does change throughout the process. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, what I think is interesting is different stages of a company, right? Having been here at the founder, where I was like the only one writing the code, and then now seeing like how we just like prioritize different issues. But like I've also like learned a lot of like, just because the customer says they want this, being able to interpret what they actually are needing, and maybe you're solving the problem a different way, and being able to try and communicate that through the product, like, hey, here's how the product actually is going to work, or here's how you can solve that problem, and being able to discern some of those nuances in the conversation, like without, especially in an early stage of like, hey, I don't have a whole product team to do this, I got to do it myself. So
yeah, one of the things I think, and I'm more of a luxury at large organizations sometimes, but like there's the customer conversation and like, hey, there's my problem, here's the pain points, and then even showing the product. But then there's also, I don't think, a benefit of socializing and talking with the customer, understanding the meta pain point, the thing around them, and getting that holistic view and understanding. That's gold, and that's the kind of, I'd say nuggets you can kind of look at and pull back in and be like, well, they're also looking at doing this. They didn't mention this like when they were digging through the product. That's one piece. The other piece is, at least for me, I find this super cool, specifically when you have product that people get hands-on with, seeing how they use it. And if it's, sure, you might tell them, hey, there's how you go A to B to C. And then all of a sudden they jump in there in D. And you're like, whoa, why are you in D? Well, because it says this here. And you're like, I didn't know that. Kind of cool. All right. We should rethink this. So that's what, getting back to it. It's like understanding the customer, how they use it. It's, the closer you are to the customer, the better off, you are, and they are as well.
100%. I can agree more with actually getting to watch them use it, because a lot of times when you're kind of showing a design or you're clicking through, you're kind of assuming that's the way that they would, push the buttons or use the product as well. And so it's always interesting to kind of, you see some of those memes of like, wait, that wasn't what was supposed to happen, right? And so, so really just learning how they might use it and really making sure you're getting that best customer experience. So yeah, that's awesome. Larry, can you talk about the way that you've seen product management work with product marketing in some of your former lives, or how that might work, and then I can kind of tell you how we do that today at Plextrack.
Yeah. Do you want to hear the good stories or the bad stories?
The bad first. I always like the bad.
So again, getting to if there's a luxury to do it, I found it the best way, in at least my opinion, that I've seen, is if you have the luxury to align product marketing to product managers and or to products. That is one of the best ways to get that synergy, to get that understanding, get that knowledge. Why is that? Well, number one, understanding the product, right? We're not dealing with super like baseball bats, right? It's an image, it's a brand, it's something fun. No, we're dealing with stuff that's serious. We're talking about cyber. Whoa, and it's also hard to learn. And many times, I don't know about your product marketers, but like many times product marketers coming in don't have the technical knowledge or chops. How do you get that? Spend time with product management, focus. And so that's one of the things too, is number one is making sure product marketing has focus. Number two, in that they share the goals and share the results with the product management team. And so that's a good alignment there. I would say also what you want to make sure is that in those relationships too, that you have communication and communicating on like, hey, I'm in product marketing. My goals, like say with you, Sarah, it's like you're in product management and you're my peer. Like you and I might share, hey, here's revenue, here's how the product's doing, but I'm also focused maybe on demand gen or some other stuff. and making sure I'm sharing the wealth with you. Hey, this is what we're doing in demand gen or content or other areas. And that you're also being like, hey, here's where I'm talking to customers or some other areas, and bringing that back together. That communication with focus, I would say, is gold. And where I've said I saw this in wonderful ways, AWS was like, wow, products were managed like their own businesses. And they were, like, you're talking multi-million-dollar, crazy, like one little database, like, huge, massive. And so that's a harder challenge because you have product marketing, one, dealing with this entire organization, versus, let's say, other organizations I've been in where it's been, you have to overlay, you have like, one product marketing can handle 4 different products and things like that. But end of the day, product marketing and product management need to be besties, need to be tied at the hip, and basically go to market together in everything you do.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely agree with you on the besties comment. We have a fabulous product marketing team, and my team's definitely besties with them for sure. And, I think it's important to remember, especially with product marketing and product management together, that while development might get to kind of be done with the project, right? This is where like product marketing and product management really are, continuing the journey, making sure the customer is having the best experience, continuing to learn from that product, feature or whatever it was that you just released, making sure you're enhancing it and not just moving on to the next thing. Because then you really want to, make sure that you're releasing the right things for the customer and getting, the output that they desire. So completely agree there. We definitely work closely with our product marketing team. My team is even meeting with them even more so, than I am, but we're definitely talking very much every week. We're kind of embedding them right in the work that we're doing. So as soon as we have a product or getting strategic alignment or bringing an idea, into the process, we really want to make sure that they're right there with us and really starting to write, maybe this is what some of my messaging might look like. To your point, really being able to tie some of those business goals back into that feature launch. So I couldn't agree more. And I definitely, am very thankful and grateful to our product marketing team and the partnership that we have with them, because, definitely after the product's launched, that's when the real fun starts. So I like that analogy of being besties. So one thing I was also wondering with is like, tell me more of some of that, bad or better things, or you can move to the good, but, at least some things that we can learn from or, grow from.
Yeah. And I think one of the key things really is, and I'll over index a little bit on goals. And I think you really want to make sure that when marketing or takes a goal and they look at what they're doing. And first of all, if marketing doesn't have goals, and a whole nother issue, right? But you need
a whole nother webinar after the baseball.
Well, here's why. I've been not going to name names in this, but I've been in organizations where some marketing folks were tasked to write blogs. Hey, you're a blog writer. Just take this technical stuff, put it on the blog. Anyone looking at who's reading the blog? It took 2 weeks to write a gosh darn blog. You got 3 views on the blog. So, is that a good use of resources? No, it's totally not. And so that's a piece of it there. But making sure that when goals are developed on the product marketing side, and this is really important when launching. When launching, you orchestrate, and we can dig into some of that stuff. But everyone's kind of aware on what's going on, what, where, and when. But just in the general cycle, making sure that the rest of the organization, not even just product management, but the whole company understands what product marketing, and what marketing's doing, what demand gen's doing, and what are they gold on? What are they building? Hey, is Larry going to go get references? Is Larry going to go, just write 4 more, pieces that are coming out there? And the reason why it's important too is I'm going to have to come back to you, Sarah, and be like, hey, I might need some help, or these are some areas that we need to collaborate on. And it gives you heads up too, because you might be launching a new product. Be like, Larry, get out of here. I got this stuff going on. And so I would say is where things went bad, the worst is when goals aren't aligned, first of all. And number 2 is when goals aren't even aware, no one's even aware of what each other's party is doing, because then it's like you're missing each other going back.
Yeah, you're definitely set up to fail if you're not working towards the same goals, or you're getting lucky if you are succeeding through that method. So I definitely agree with that. One other thing I was wondering, Larry, from your experience, do do you have kind of a preferred time frame where, you might say this is when is the best time to go to market, separated from the product launch? So I've been at companies before where we tied the big go to market, everybody's launching today, and then oops, we have a bug that we found. We need to hold the release. And then, the rest of the company is really like, wait, what's happening? Like, we're ready to go. What do you mean this is happening now? So is there any kind of advice or, recommendations you could give on kind of the timeframes that work, that you've seen work best for, actually launching the product from engineering, but then truly launching it from a marketing perspective out to the customer base?
Yeah. And it really, I want to say it also depends. It depends on the company size and how you go to market and how your products are structured. Because in larger organizations I've been in, we tier the products and tier the launches. So like a major net new product or a super big feature would have been like at AWS would have been like Aurora serverless, right? Like that's a big deal. And so that gets set up way ahead of time. And as that's being built, and let me back up even a little bit. So it really gets down to when I talk about launching and having a whole process, and this is kind of where I am today and why I'm taking a little bit of time to like write stuff down around launches and stuff, is it really starts with the what are you building and why are you building it? Like we called it in AWS the PRFAQ. Other companies, we've just even used lean canvases to even start the discussion, but write it down. What are you building and why? And that helps articulate, is it tier 1, tier 2, tier 3? Now, tier 1s are the big tent poles. Wow. If you're going to miss the date, everyone knows. So you don't have to worry about that. This is a big one. And we want to make sure that it goes out on time. Now, you also have the option, you can pre-launch depending on where revenue recognition may or may not be and things like that, where it's like, we got to tell the market about it. Let's get ready. Let's start, getting folks to sign up and start trying this. You can opt to do that as well. So, but the tier 1s, you're always going to be on, everyone's going to be aware, even if it slows down, that's fine. Everyone further down the pike in demand gen, stop, don't push anything yet. Analysts don't talk about this yet. But then there's tier 2 and tier 3, all right? And tier 2 being just a regular feature that comes out. Hey, customers are going to love it. It might just be something you push out to the customers. Be like, hey, by the way, we now have the capability for this new language or this new process, whatever it may be. And then you're going to have tier 3s, which are the tiny ones. And many companies don't even do anything with them. I think that's a mistake. Tier 3s are super important. Why? Fills your social calendar, fills your blogs, it creates content. And it's also, if it didn't help a customer, you wouldn't be building it anyway. So it's going to help someone somewhere. And so in that sense, like those tier 3s, sure. Like, you might launch it now and package it up with 5 other tier 3s and a tier 2 or something else a month later. That's cool. Right. But the people who are affected by it, they know right away. Those that may be affected by it or might love it, hey, that's okay. Let's package it up, get ready to go, and make sure that we come fully in full strength. So I know that answers your question or not. I'm kind of going through my head like a structure here, but for me, launches are a whole orchestration of the product marketing, the product team, engineering, and others. And there's stuff that has to happen before, like with pre-briefing analysts, talking to your partners, getting sales ready, getting alignment, right? And then you launch, whoo, yay, everything happens, hopefully. And then there's downstream, right? It's going to be, are we getting butts in the seat on the webinars? Are we having these conversations? Are we getting leads? Are we educating, right? And that's continuous, moving back and forth.
Yeah, I definitely agree. No, that was great. I think that's really helpful. Just kind of thinking about that tiering structure as well. And just, that gives us some thoughts as well that we can take back inside of PlexTrack and kind of, think about those things more as well. So that's great. So I was just kind of curious, how did you get started in Launch Gravy?
Oh my gosh. As I said before, I spent a lot of time in large organizations, and IBM. There's not, like, being international with IBM. There's nothing like it. Like it's like they know the brand. You're in some city that, like I was in China for a while, and it was like, I couldn't tell any brand. They had like 3 brands. It's like I think they had Walmart, KFC, and Pizza Hut, and then McDonald's, or 4 things, and then IBM. And like just the power of a technology brand in that sense. And so IBM's awesome and big and huge, and there's a lot of learnings there. And then AWS was building a rocket ship. And how do you launch? And different than IBM. IBM was, it wasn't in those days. It wasn't like cloud ready. It was more big hardware, big software. You know, Salesforce comes in, right? And so you can prep. AWS is different, where everything's online. Like when you launch something, oh, you got to make sure everything's ready for thousands or hundreds of thousands of people to hit you, put in their credit card, and use the service. If not, major issue. And so it turned me on my head a little bit on how do you do product launches. And did AWS for 4 years. Awesome. Learned a ton. It's probably like getting a whole separate degree. And then going into smaller organizations is how do you then take this? Because, well, wait a second. I went into one company and it was like, they don't like writing documents. They use PowerPoints. It's like colors, right? And I'm like, how do I translate this like 8-page doc, or only 6 pages in Amazon, but like this large document that's well written, people don't want to read. So you have to think about how do you even market to your own different organizations and different companies. And so fast forward here, like I did a couple of smaller companies, smaller startups, and this year I kind of backed away and I said, like, let's write this stuff down. There's something here. And I had enough people that were asking me, Larry, how did you do this at Amazon? Or how do you think about this? And is there a guidebook? Is there a process? And I was like, gosh, if I write this stuff down, it seems there's a market for some of this, right? And so that's really where I started this. That's one piece of it. The second side of it is I thought about think about resources. My number one resource is all the people I've met in my life that I've either worked with, worked for, or customers. And that's why I love what you guys are doing with these podcasts and we're video casts, right? It's knowledge, and share that knowledge. And that makes, wow, the world a better place, first of all, but it also unpacks some of these things that are sitting in people right now in the trenches, launching products, building things, securing things. That's kind of where I'm at is I'm in that stage where I built a lot, saw a lot. I'm taking a little time out to say, let's write this stuff down, see where it goes, and go from there.
I think that's great because sometimes, people might think, oh, what do I really have to add, to the conversation? Or, of course, so many other people have been doing these things as well, in addition to me. But I do think, there's a lot of strength in like writing that down, getting that going, and then just seeing how many people actually are interested and learning from you, right? And learning from the knowledge that you have, especially as, the younger generation is coming up and, experiencing some of these different methodologies and launch patterns. So that's awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
Well, and I think just some people just may not be exposed to it, especially, if they're coming into, like coming into college. I didn't know about all the nuances of these types of fields. And so people just may not recognize, different paths that you can take both in tech or just, in any kind of business. So like, I think it's good, like period, to just be able to share now. So that's great. So
yeah, I definitely didn't think I was going to college to be a product manager or would end up in product management when I was going to college, right? I was definitely busy writing COBOL for Y2K. Now I'm dating myself. But yeah, so no, I think it's great just how much flexibility there is and just a lot of the different backgrounds where people can come in and get settled. So yeah, that's awesome.
Well, hey, this has been obviously it sounds like we could definitely like spill like 3 hours worth of knowledge sharing here, but this has been great, Larry. And Sarah, thanks so much for like, sharing just a tidbit of what your experience and working on and what people can focus on all around like product launches. It's been a great time. Larry, share a little bit about like what you're working on. I obviously launched Gravy, but how can we find you? Anything else that you kind of want to share with our audience?
Sure. Yeah, no, and thanks for having me. This has been super cool. Look, launchgravy.com is kind of where everything's happening. And as I said before, this is one of the things I'm baking in real time. So it's really started from looking at, I host a podcast and it used to be every week. Now it's like, I'm trying to do it every other week just because it takes a long time. And I'm trying to use AI and really so I can transcribe, capture the data and get more nuggets out to the population. But I'll be building out that site there with more stories, more conversations, and kind of, I don't want to say crowdsourcing launching, but kind of the tips and tricks from folks in the market. And number two is, I said, writing this stuff down. And I'm working on writing down a process, a flow, kind of my own view on the kind of, if you're going to, hey, Larry, how do you launch products? I want to define that. And that's kind of what I'm heads down on right now. Happy to share it with you all when I get done. Love to get your take on it.
Yeah.
But those are two things. Otherwise, if you want to reach out to me, LinkedIn is probably the easiest place to get me. Happy to sit down, talk, and even if someone has a question on launches, and happy to have a say on it. So
awesome. Well, thanks. Thanks so much for taking your time with us. And for everybody out there, if you have any questions or comments or feedback, please throw them in the comments, and we'll definitely do our best to get back to them and respond to them as quickly as possible. But thanks again for everybody joining us on your Friday. Wish you all the best. Larry, thanks again. Sarah, thanks for taking precious time out of all of our days to just a really fun topic. And so wish you guys all the best, and have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. So we will catch you all later.